This is the Matt Painter Show. Here is your host, Rob Blackman.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome. It is time for the Matt Painter Show. It's a Monday night, which, of course, means it's time for us to talk Boilermaker basketball. And we do appreciate you making us a part of your Monday evening listening habits. I'm Rob Blackman. I'll be the host of the program tonight. The head coach of the Boilermakers, Matt Painter, joins me in just a moment. Lots of stuff to talk about with the coach tonight over the next 55 minutes, I should say, because over the last week, since we have last spoken, 2 more games in the books for Purdue. A Thursday night win at home over Iowa, 87-73. And then losing yesterday in Evanston to Northwestern, 64-58. So we'll talk to Coach Painter about those couple of games that have come and gone. Plus, we'll look ahead to this week's schedule, which, of course, remains busy, as you might expect in February, in the heat of a Big Ten season, as the Boilermakers this week will be on the road at Maryland for a Thursday night game. That's a 6:30 game on Thursday, and then back at home on Sunday for a 1 o'clock game against Ohio State. If you'd like to visit with Coach Painter tonight, we'd love to hear from you. The phone number is 1-888-246-2678. And again, a quick reminder that we have tonight and then next Monday, and that'll be it for the Matt Painter Show here for this season. We're running out of opportunities here if you want to visit with Coach Painter. So if you've been on the fence about maybe calling into the show this season, well, you have tonight or next Monday night, and that'll be it. So might want to keep that in mind if you want to visit with Coach Painter here. Again, we'd love to hear from you tonight as we talk Boilermaker basketball. We are live from Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. Walk-Ons, of course, are a great place to check out anytime, any day of the week, whether it's before a Purdue basketball game or just any time during the week. And we say a big thank you as well to GEMCO Constructors, who is the sponsor of the Matt Painter Radio Show. All right, with that, we will take a break. When we come back, we'll visit with Coach Painter. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
As you were pointing out as we were watching shoot-around today, one of the few teams that actually still run motion. U.S. no shoot for you as the shot clock has expired.
Time defensive possession. Great job of guarding Murray on those calls. These guys run true motion, but watch that.
On the drive, Edey has the rebound. Here comes Smith with more. No look pass. First has it and the foul. Berserk. Mackey is loud, and Boiler up a little no-look, and the and one. Purdue already up by double figures.
Haven't seen that in my lifetime, but I'll take your word for it.
There's Smith again. He's got 17.
Extra pass.
Morton made one in the first half, and look who's sneaking in for the rebound. And first,
Washington with his inside hand, and then look, get back to the elbow to get an offensive rebound.
Long way to go, but trading baskets still not optimal at this stage. Warrior curls around, gets the contact, and the bucket.
He comes right back, runs a little dribble handoff for him. Warrior reads it, they trail it, Murray trails it, and he plays to contact.
It was our stats guy. I thought that they called it on Trey Kaufman. Random, our stats guy, Dick Bossing, confirms it. Leaves it for Jenkins and another assist for Braden Smith. Very close to knocking that ball off of Murray.
Look at Braden Smith coming from behind, attacking the ball, not the body, and then watch him. He reads the defense. Boom.
He's got Robracha posted, double coming. He passes out of it.
They're just keeping a body on him. You're looking right at the logo. They're just keeping a body on him. That thing is going inside. Just a different dude. He's the most unique player in college basketball.
Knocking on wood.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Show, presented by GEMCO. Live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. The Boilermakers are 23-3 on the season, now 12-3 in Big Ten play, with just 5 games remaining on the schedule. All 5 Big Ten contests. That's regular season, obviously. And then the Big Ten tournament begins in March. So we are headed here down the final stretch of regular season play. Boilermakers, by the way, ranked number 3 in the latest Associated Press poll that was released earlier this afternoon. Coach Matt Painter is alongside. And again, if you'd like to visit with a coach, the phone number is 1-888-246-2678. Coach, let's start with yesterday's game at Northwestern. 64-58 the final. A game in which 13 second-half turnovers and missing your final 13, I think it was, three-point attempts. That's a bad combination, especially on the road against a team as talented as Northwestern is.
Yeah, and with that being said, I think the number one thing are the turnovers. That's you have the best rebounding team in the country. You want to get quality shots to obviously make shots, but you also want to give yourself a chance to rebound. And anytime you see when we have struggled, especially in that second half, in the first half of the Indiana game, we're just constantly playing in defensive transition. So you turn the basketball over and they're scoring. The point is they weren't scoring that much in the half court. So if you look at their stats and you flip it and you look what they are from three-point land. So they're 4 for 22 from three, but they're 14 for 20 from the free throw line. They get some of those free throws in transition. Obviously not all of those in transition, but they're getting layups, they're getting easy baskets, they're getting us in foul trouble. We foul on those breaks also at times. Sometimes we foul on those breaks. We tried 2 or 3 times unsuccessfully to foul while they're on the break and we're not in the bonus yet. So they take the ball out of bounds, so they don't get the 2 shots for free throws. They don't get an and one like they got on one play. And we just had some breakdowns. We just weren't tough with the basketball. But that's kind of been the trend. If you even pulling that Maryland stat sheet out and looking at the last 3 games, it's 17, 16, 16 turnovers in those 3 games. And when we don't turn the ball over and we're right around 9 or 10, we're pretty tough to beat. Yeah. We have some guys that share the basketball that are very unselfish, but people are getting really aggressive with us. They're really getting into us, and we just have to be stronger. You got to be mentally stronger and you got to be physically stronger, but it's just something that we got to be able to work through and do better. It's nothing schematic in terms of what we're doing, because when you look at turnovers, they just don't go into one bucket and they're one thing. They're not 17 travels. It's a 2 or 3, a couple travels, bad passes out of the post, getting pressured on the perimeter, pick sixes when you throw the ball lateral to the baseline, things like that. So it all comes into play, offensive fouls, with those turnovers. But we just got to concentrate better. But it's no different than where we were in non-conference. We went through a 3, 4, 5 game stretch in non-conference, and people are like, hey, man, you got to quit shooting so many threes. You got to, these certain guys that shoot threes. I said, those certain guys all can really shoot. And we got to keep getting them, good shots. And it's the same way right now. Even though we missed some shots, some three-pointers outside of a couple of them, we have to have that balance with Zach. We got to be able to knock down those shots and be able to get the basketball to him. And when you do that, and then we went on a stretch there right after that non-conference stretch for about a 5 or 6 game stretch where we really shot the ball well. And so we just got to stay confident and take care of the basketball, and our shots will drop.
Is it a fine line that you have to walk as a coach from your team's aggressiveness? Offensively, you want them to stay aggressive. You want them to take shots, right, open shots. You want them to be aggressive with the basketball, yet not turn it over, right? Is there a fine line you walk there?
Well, you can't play the game in theory. So you're asking me to give an answer about a lot of situations and scenarios. Each person has different strengths and weaknesses. Some people have an intermediate game, some people don't. Some people can shoot from 3, some people don't. You can go on down the line. We've been careless. I want guys to stay aggressive that can make certain plays. And so, we got to do a better job of not jumping up in the air to pass. We got to do a better job of just triple threatening when we catch the basketball and being strong. And when they do get up on you, you have to have the ability to be able to drive the ball some, especially if that's who you are. And I think that's an important piece there. Just take what the defense gives you, but when they get ultra aggressive and they get there, you got to be able to get them off you without fouling yourself.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll go to the phones. Again, the number is 1-888-246-2678. This is the Matt Painter Show, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
He was a little reluctant to challenge Nicholson on that dunk.
There's Ethan Morton inside to Edey. Northwestern doubles, down low to first, and he answers with a dunk of his own as the double was a little late to come there, Steven.
Yeah, that was boo-boo. He's supposed to seal off that backside. Caleb First continuing his inspired play.
And now a steal by Morton, an outstanding defender. Shovels it to First through the lane, up and in. Oilers just one of their last 6 from the field. Nice ball movement. Gillis out of the corner, and he hits. Mason Gillis.
I think Nicholson could use a breather here. He's getting a little tired.
Gillis for three. Purdue getting hot from the outside.
Purdue, a premier rebounding ball club. Northwestern battling them.
Ooh, he's swatted away again by Edey. Here comes Lawyer now.
Dave, let's take a look at that last block. Bowie getting downhill. And there's just no way he's going to get that off. Purdue, a different look.
Edey with the jam, and he's fouled.
Edey in the center of the floor just pivots, goes strong with the growl, and then the stare. Zach Edey dominating the paint. As the ball goes inside to Edey, watch Gillis on the backside.
Shot clock at 6. Here's Morton on the spin, hanging in the air. Ethan Morton hits. Where has that been? Here's Barnheiser on the move, in on Edey. There's block number 3. And here's Smith.
Zach Edey is 7'4". That's not going to work.
Matt Painter Show tonight on this Monday night. Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. This reminder, Purdue Global is Purdue's accredited and affordable online solution for working adults. Persistence pays off at Purdue Global. If you'd like to visit with Coach Matt Painter tonight on the show, we welcome your phone calls at 1-888-246-2678. And with that, we'll go to the phones for the first time tonight and welcome in John, calling in from New York. John, welcome. You're on with the coach.
Hey, Coach Painter. I just want to say I'm really grateful for all you've done for the program. But with all seasons, there definitely comes one aspect that I'm very concerned about, and you knocked on the nail. It's the turnovers, but specifically the press offense. Especially in the Maryland game, being up by 14, winning by 3. Iowa having 5 turnovers in the first half, going to 12 turnovers in the second half, with addition to 8-second violations. My question is, I definitely want to observe is the ball going into the corners and the players getting trapped, and there were a lot of timeouts available to use in the situation. My biggest question is, do you see the press offense as one of the concerns for Purdue's offense, especially in the second half, and what are your plans to address it, especially now that more Big Ten teams are starting to implement presses in the second half?
Yeah, a couple of things. Ours is 10 seconds. Ours is in 8 seconds. The other thing that comes with it is I thought our guys did a good job in the first half against Iowa with it, and then we got away a couple times of not doing what we're doing. Braden keeps it in the middle a lot, and you don't want to get up that sideline, but he's good with the basketball there. We put it to the sideline too early, and we didn't advance it. They allow it, our guys, and they did it again with Northwestern, and we really talked about it. Don't let them steal time from you right away. So don't pass the basketball in and not advance the basketball. Like, always remember where your goal is. So when you catch it right there on the wing, take 2 dribbles and go up the court. You got a guy in the middle who's going to step out. You got a guy long opposite at that time. They will converge at that time. If they don't, you got your guy diagonal at that point. Most of the times they converge. Now you go back to the middle. You can advance it to the other sideline, and now you have the same options right there. Where they make their mistake is they catch it and they pause and they wait a second. They wait 2 seconds. They don't advance it right away. Now you're eating up that space right there. And they are the aggressor because they're playing off of that time. So when we simply, get the ball in and advance it up the court and stay aggressive that way, whether we go long diagonal, we see middle, or we see that ball side step out, if we come back then to Braden and then he advances it, good things always happen. But when we get into the pause game and they're trying to slow you down, but they can't slow you down if you have ball skills and you have understanding. But our problem is we will do it correctly 3-4 times in a row, and then all of a sudden, I don't know whether that's fatigue, that's youth, whatever that answer is, all of a sudden we just get into a pause. And we've done it in games. What you're talking about, getting up the sidelines, getting up to the baseline when they pressure us right there at the end of the Iowa game. You want to start back there. Now, they go into a 1-2-2 zone press where the 2-2-1 is more like Maryland and more like what Northwestern did. So it's a little bit different than you can offset. All right, and what I mean by offset, if it's a one-guard front, you have two people up there. With a smaller guard, you don't want to be able to offset it as much because now they're going to have traditional traps and they're going to use his size against him. But he's so quick and he's good with the basketball. We go to a diamond and we kind of match to it, and then we're really looking for those diagonals and that middle step out. But once it does get back to him there at the end, he's going to take it. When it gets to the end of the Iowa game, now they have changed. They've put a man on the ball, and they've went man-to-man, and now they're going to trap right there and try to use the sidelines and the baseline. You don't want to catch it in that coffin corner right there. It's the last place you want to catch it. But sometimes you get deep, especially when you can't move, and that's the best thing that you can get. Braden did a good job against Iowa of cutting hard and really getting the basketball and moving. A couple of times our guys that we couldn't get it to him, they got kind of buried right there in the end. We got stuck. We caught the ball, and we were in a tough spot, and then we shovel passed twice, like handoffs, and they stole the basketball for us. It's one of the things you just absolutely can't do because when you catch the basketball in that backcourt and you're there, you see what's in front of you, but you can't always see what's behind you. You got to have a sense of where you are in your surroundings. So that's why you like to catch it and get that thing up the court. But we were in a tough spot in that corner, and we just did a poor job. The guy who caught it, shovel pass, and then we turned that basketball over. But the thing that we did a couple other times, it's how we got that steal against Ohio State and got back into the game. When you catch the basketball, your shoulders have to be squared to your basket. I don't care if you're 40 feet from your basket or 90 feet from your basket. When you catch it and you turn sideways, because now you are just looking at one guy you want to pass to and that defender. Normally when they put somebody into a trap, the next guy is going to split the offensive players. So they trap somebody. Now when you got two people on the ball, there's no way you can be even up. There's got to be an odd man somewhere. So what they do a lot of times is they split those guys. So now defensively, you've turned your back and you've told him where you're going to pass. Ethan did a fabulous job of getting that steal because Sewing just let him know because he never squared up and saw it. We get into that a little bit. You got to square, you got to see it. Because when you square and you see the basketball, now you have sideline, now you have the inbounder, now you have middle, and then you have long diagonal. So you have all your options because you've opened up and you're able to see it. At times when we're stuck right there, we want to get Braden on the run, but if he gets into a traditional trap and he can't, now size can become a factor, so we'll try to get Fletch that first catch, or we'll try to get Ethan that first catch, or bring our four through the middle to try to get that, especially when it's a dead ball.
John, thank you for the call. We'll take a break. More phone calls on the other side of this timeout. It is the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
George has always been a big dreamer.
He was talking about how he wanted to be the best NFL player when he hadn't even played a whole year of football.
Let's do it. Go Boilers.
On the face of my city, co-signed by Diddy.
Prove him wrong.
Prove them wrong. That's big to me. People don't believe you. All right, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Keep again. Karlaftis is there. George Karlaftis, the freshman. The crown jewel of this Purdue recruiting class.
What a play by George.
Karlaftis.
He just kept the relentless pressure.
Yeah.
He didn't slow down at all.
It's loose. Karlaftis has it. He's at midfield. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's at the 10. 5. Touchdown, Boilermakers. George Karlaftis on the fumble return.
NFL draft. The Kansas City Chiefs select George Karlaftis.
Wow.
Defensive end, Purdue.
I'm proud of that kid. It's hard to make it through as a rookie, period. 17 games. But to get better every week at that position, is something. I mean, it's as much mental as it is physical, and he is relentless. You see him in practice. He goes 100 miles an hour at practice. He transfers that into games, so my hat goes off to him.
Burrow facing the heat again. Karlaftis, the rookie.
Pieces just fit. They recruit to their system, their identity, their culture. These guys are willing to wait, learn the system, and earn their opportunity.
No look pass. First has it and a foul.
Another great find from Braden Smith.
Those two dudes don't play like freshmen.
Number one is looking like number one.
Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO, live at Walk-Ons here in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. GEMCO Constructors, supporting your Boilermakers, is the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show and proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says boiler up. Great crowd on hand here tonight, as always, at Walk-Ons. Thank you, each and every one of you that's joining us tonight. We do have some special guests with us in the house. Alex Joyce of Rejoice Financial and his special guests and group. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Nice to have you with us. Rejoice Financial is a great partner with us here at Purdue Sports Properties as well as Purdue Athletics. So, again, thank you, folks, for joining us here on this Monday night. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Andy calling in from California. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Coach Painter and DJ Rob from the West Coast. Thought I mixed up a little bit. Quick question. Do you guys know how the referees travel between games? Because I've noticed this year, some of the refs will be maybe in Penn State, and then the next day they could be doing the Illinois game, and that seems to be kind of a rough schedule where they may have to connect, or if they do airlines and with the weather and travel, that could be make for some long days. And I know they're professionals, but you just wonder if that could play a part in this sometimes, some fatigue on their part, and in some ways maybe how the games are called. And the second part of that is, do you guys know they seem to have changed refs this last week? I think we had some new ones yesterday, and I noticed some of our normal, quote, refs in the Big Ten were out west. Is that normal where they kind of start making them up now, or do we have refs now per league, or
no?
Are they kind of moving around maybe in times before the NCAA tournament? Thanks again, boiler up, and play hard.
Yeah, referees are independent contractors, so they can have a primary league, but they can work as many leagues as they want. A lot of them aren't going to, work 6-7 leagues. They'll get to like 3 to 4 leagues, and obviously their primary league, they're going to get more games, and then on down the line. So it just simply depends. With us, we had a ref for the first time second game ago, and he was a Pac-12 official. I'd seen him on film because he's ref some other Big Ten games, but I'd never had him as a ref before. 2 of the 3 guys that we had yesterday are Final Four officials. One of them refed in the final game. I think both of those guys as primaries are ACC. The other guy, I don't know. We've had him a couple times. I think his primary is probably the Big East, maybe ACC, something in there. I'm not sure we haven't had him as much as the other 2 guys.
Thank you for the phone call, Andy. Drew in Raleigh, welcome. You're on next with Coach Painter.
Hi, Coach. I've got about a million questions I'd like to ask you tonight, but I've narrowed it down to 2. There were multiple times yesterday where Zach got the ball in the post, and as he tried to turn, make a basketball move and face, he was blocked off because of where the defenders double or triple teaming were standing. I'm not sure what the exact rule is by the letter of the law, but could you maybe explain what a cylinder rule violation is, and if those plays qualified, maybe why they weren't called? And then the other question I had was just yesterday was the second time that you've had a phantom shot clock violation that's cost you possession. What was the explanation that you received from the official after that occurred? Because there was no advantage played in terms of you didn't put another shot up. Braden just kind of dribbled around for a second.
Right.
And that's starting to really become a Zach Edey-esque impossible defensive scheme to go up against for you guys.
Right.
Thanks as always for taking my call.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Both good questions. All right. The cylinder rule is a bad rule. First of all, I don't know if it'll stay in college basketball because it's a bad rule. Any rule that you can have that you just can't call. So if you double dribble, you should call a double dribble, right? So if you have 3 seconds in the lane, you should call 3 seconds in the lane. They have put a rule in. If you press somebody and you trap them or you double somebody in the post, it's impossible not to get in their space. So the cylinder rule is you got to be able to get in their space. A lot of it started because of the contact above the shoulders. So people would get there, you'd make a basketball move, you would turn with the basketball, especially if I'm bigger than you, because now like Zach's elbow is right at the head of somebody who's about 6'8", so he turns and naturally, you see how Zach doesn't do that anymore. Think about the last time Zach's elbowed somebody in the head, which was a common thing when he first got here. He was doing it once a game. And now he's learned to be able, when he gets on the other side of the court, he opens and he faces. Last night he did it 2 different times, and he didn't. So anytime that double's coming, it's hard to pass as a right-handed guy on the left block because you're passing with your left hand this way. You got to open up and then see the court, and then you have all your options, and then he can just pass over those guys. But we keep him over on that right block. Really, if you're facing at the left block, so as a natural right-hander, he can go over his left shoulder, and then he can be able to turn. So as long as they are set and he hasn't turned yet, they're in good legal position as long as they haven't taken up his space. You got to give a little bit. But the cylinder rule, like they're all fouls under the cylinder rule, but they don't call the cylinder rule. So it makes no sense. It's poor leadership on their part in terms of trying to get a rule in that you can't sit there and call and be consistent with it. Who it's not fair to outside of Zach is really the officials because they don't make the rules. Now they just have to put this rule in here, and that's really, really difficult. So when they jump into him when he's getting double teamed, like last night at the end of the game, it was a well-officiated game in the first half. They did a really good job, and then they changed how things were handled. At the end, he has 2 turnovers, and they're there, and they hatchet him, and they jump into him. They're automatic fouls. It's an easy call. And how those guys missed those 2 calls late in the game, I have no idea. But those are the ones you got to get. And that's what I always talk about with Zach. Just get the egregious ones. Just get the shirt grabs, get the knee in his backside, get the 2 hands in his back. Those are the type of things they really struggle. We had 2 guys that are Final Four officials, but they weren't our officials, so they haven't had him a lot, and they just swallowed their whistle on a lot of stuff when he was getting fouled. So it's unfortunate. It's not why we lost the game. We lost the game because we turned the basketball over. That's why we lost the game. The shot clock, once again, bad rule, all right? And I think they'll get this switched in the following year because you are penalizing a team because the shot clock operator didn't reset the shot clock or did reset the shot clock, okay? Last night, when that happened, they reset it, but the ball didn't hit the rim. Well, the referee's got to see that after a second or two because we're at 8, and then Fletch has the ball, and if we're at 8 and Fletch has the ball and he realizes that, he's going to shoot that, drive that, try to make something happen. Well, he didn't really have anything, so he brings the ball back out. So then they blow the whistle in 6-7 seconds, which is perfect for the combination to equal 30. And just miraculously, it's the way it happened. So the shot clock operator made a mistake, and then the officials didn't see it right away. They need to be able to see it right away, so now they can get on it, and now instead of being 8, it's at 4, so then we have the ball with 4 seconds. Since the total equaled 30, now it's a violation, even though we didn't make a mistake. We got the offensive rebound. Now we look up, and we see that clock at 28, so we're going to run offense if we don't have something right away. So but to answer your question, bad rule. I think it'll get switched because it keeps happening. It's happened to us twice in the last 4 games. Bad rule, bad awareness on the officials. They needed to see it earlier. The trail official, not really the slot official, both of those guys. The guy on the baseline can't see the shot clock. He's not going to look 94 feet and pick up a shot clock. It's not his responsibility. The trail and the slot have to be able to come in and see that. They got to be able to help each other too. They got to be able to, say, hey, that it got reset, but boy, the ball really didn't change direction. A lot of times in basketball, they miss stuff. So other night we had a ball roll through Zach's legs, and the official called it and said it was off Zach. And I said, well, the ball didn't change direction. He said, did you see it? I said, no, I didn't see it. And he didn't either, but he wasn't going to say that. But anytime you're that way, it's kind of a cheat code when you're watching and you're officiating. If the ball hits and it goes in another direction, it either hit someone, it hit the rim, it hit somebody's heel, things of that nature happen. So in that situation, if they have any type of savvy, they should pick up that the ball didn't go in another direction and probably didn't hit the rim, and we needed to be able to reset that.
Drew, thanks for that phone call. Time now for our Pro Boilers feature, where we look at how former Purdue student athletes are doing in their professional sports careers. Pro Boilers is presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. Both our Pro Boilers and Indiana Kitchen are boiler-made. I didn't want to go with George Karlaftis, even though he's a Super Bowl champion, because I've already used him once this year. And I didn't want to go with Jaden Ivey again. I've already used him, but today's his birthday. So I'm going to go with both of them. George Karlaftis, Boilermaker, Super Bowl champion in his rookie year. Congratulations to George and the rest of those Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl yesterday. And Jaden Ivey, it's your birthday, so we'll recognize you today as well. How about Jaden playing 30 minutes a game? He started 53 games this year for the Pistons, averaging 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists a game. Not bad for that rookie either. When we come back, more with Coach Painter in a moment on the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO. This is the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Our Boilermakers have always been what unite us. To this hallowed field, we return each fall to be a part of something special. We've seen legends born and moments etched in time.
Wide open! Touchdown Purdue! Seth Morales! Holy Toledo! Thomas steps away, Coleman fumble! They've got it! Beasley rushes free for the Purdue touchdown!
It's pandemonium, Coach! Hope for years!
Hope we have a whole lot more. It's a great win for Purdue.
For nearly a century, Ross-Ade Stadium has been the home of Purdue football. As we forge ahead, we have a rare opportunity to fortify the legacy of future generations of faithful Boilermakers. Together, we will guarantee the passion you have for the old gold and black will endure for years to come.
Let the carnage and the chaos continue.
How about them Boilers?
Boiler up, friends. The time is now.
With your mentality, right? Drag them into deep waters, make them uncomfortable. Wrestle smart, wrestle within your game plan.
Welcome back, everyone. Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. We thank you for joining us. GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show, proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says boiler up. Let's go back to the phones. Again, if you'd like to join Coach Painter, we appreciate you calling in and joining us tonight. Jim in Indianapolis is next. Jim, welcome to the show.
I think this is Tony.
Tony, that works as well. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, I've always been proud of the fact that you don't work the officials the whole game like, Tom Izzo, certainly yesterday, Chris Collins, the whole time was chirping at the officials, and our players also aren't always lobbying for calls, and usually it's just a bewildered look like, really? But I think I speak for a lot of Purdue fans that would say, hey, I think it's time to go Chris Holtman in a game and, get tossed or get a technical. But I know you're not going to do that, but a lot of frustrated Purdue fans would like that. And then one last question. Was Chris Collins demonstrating how you defend Zach Edey when he grabbed Fletcher Lawyer with 12 seconds left? Did you see that? I think it's been making the rounds on Twitter.
I work the officials. I just don't yell at the officials. So, I get in conversation with them. One of the best things to do with officials is ask questions instead of telling them that they don't know what they're talking about or they missed a call, because you get them to speak on something. So, I am talking to them, and it's no different than somebody yell. I don't yell on when they make a good call. So I'm just sorry. I'm going to build some credibility. And so, that might make you feel better emotionally if I, got thrown out of a game or I got a technical or I did anything. It's not going to help our team. And so, I think a lot of times when you're constructive with them and you're rational with them and you make them think, do you really think a 290-pound man can get pushed that way? Do you really think that they can stop him from getting where he's got to be? That starts the wheels turning. That starts their thinking of, you know what, probably not. Like, there's probably something going on there. So in working the officials, it's an old thing because there didn't used to be very much videotape. There didn't used to be total TV. So, and then everybody always stays up with the Joneses. So if Bobby Knight's working an official, boy, Gene Cady better work an official. And, man, Clem Haskins better work an official. And Judd Heathcote better work an official. Well, now the accountability and everything with these guys and everything is watched. Like, think about, you're talking to me about what happened at the end of the game. I did not see that at the end of the game. I saw it on Twitter that it popped up. I think he's demonstrating to tell his defender to deny Fletch right there. And when he did it, he put his hand right out there by Fletch, and then Fletch just kind of waved it away, is the way I looked at it. But I had a fuzzy internet clip that somebody had showed me right there. But I think that old adage of being there with the officials and working the officials, I think you get a lot more. I know you get a lot further when you sit there. And I have my moments too, so it's not like I sit over there. But I'm not grandstanding either. And I think that's the best thing for your team, because I think when they see that, your team starts complaining. Your team starts thinking about refereeing. Our team needs to think about playing better. I need to think about coaching better. And it is my job to be able to handle that and handle the officials, and I do that. And so I think when you get to that point, that you think that's going to get somewhere, and it just isn't going to get you anywhere. But it is going on. So don't act like people are working officials, and so Michigan State gets all the calls, right? Or Indiana gets all the calls, or Illinois gets all the calls. I don't look at it that way. I think sometimes you get the back end of some things. It doesn't go your way all the time. And then sometimes you get breaks. Like, everybody looks at us from our last season and says, this happened at the end of the game, this happened at this end of the game, you lost these 2 games. Well, I can go show you 2 or 3 games that things went our way and we won those games. But you don't look at it that way when you win a game. You always look at it differently. I always compare it to when someone's hurt. Like, if two of the best players on the other team is hurt and you win the game, you're not in the locker room sitting there saying, man, we only would have won that game because those guys are out. You don't think that one bit. You take that win and you run, you eat your pizza, and you go home. That's just the way it is. So no one's going to feel sorry for you when it goes against you. People are going to make excuses and go there. You got to be able to pick up the pieces and be constructive and make it work the next game.
This is the Matt Painter Show, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. More phone calls in just a moment. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
As you were pointing out as we were watching shoot-around today, one of the few teams that actually still run motion. U.S. no shoot for you as the shot clock has expired.
Time, defensive possession. Great job of guarding Murray on those calls. These guys run true motion, but watch that.
On the drive, Edey has the rebound. Here comes Smith with more. No look pass. First has it, and a foul. Berserk. Mackey is loud, and Boiler up a little no-look, and the and one. Purdue already up by double figures.
Haven't seen that in my lifetime, but I'll take your word for it.
There's Smith again. He's got 17.
Extra pass.
Morton made one in the first half, and look who's sneaking in for the rebound. And first, Washington.
Finishes with his inside hand, and then look, get back to the elbow to get an offensive rebound.
Long way to go, but trading baskets still not optimal at this stage. Warrior curls around, gets the contact, and the bucket.
He comes right back, runs a little dribble handoff for him. Warrior reads it, they trail it, Murray trails it, and he plays to contact.
It was our stats guy. I thought that they called it on Trey Kaufman. Random, our stats guy, Dick Bossing, confirms it. Leaves it for Jenkins, and another assist for Braden Smith. Very close to knocking that ball off of Murray.
Look at Braden Smith coming from behind, attacking the ball, not the body, and then watch him. He reads the defense. Boom.
He's got Rabracha posted, double coming. He passes out of it.
They're just keeping a body on him. You're looking right at the logo. They're just keeping a body on him. That thing is going inside. Just a different dude. He's the most unique player in college basketball.
Welcome back. This is the Matt Painter Show, presented by GEMCO, live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or anytime throughout the week, stop by Walk-Ons right here in the Purdue Memorial Union. And we do appreciate Walk-Ons as serving as our host all season long of the Matt Painter Radio Show. Back to the phones we go. Tim in Cleveland is next. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks for taking my call. First and foremost, thank you for everything you've done for Purdue and for the program. It's been a pure pleasure. Hate to beat a dead horse here, but one of the questions I had, again, is on Zach. I watched the game yesterday. The television broadcast team brought it up several times, and some of the things they said were, it's hard for officials to call it. They're not used to seeing somebody of Zach's size, and simply he's just not getting the call because of that, and they don't have familiarity with that. Can you kind of talk about your approach to, are those fair statements, and talk about your approach to handling Zach, his emotions, his mentality throughout the course of the game? Because as a viewer, he's clearly getting beat up, right? And teams are getting more and more aggressive because they know they're not getting the calls. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it was unfortunate what happened yesterday in terms of, two Final Four officials that don't ref our league very much, and it just didn't seem like they were in tune with what was going on with him and how he was getting defended. And a couple of the made field goals were fouls that they didn't call. And we battle it a lot because whether they're familiar with him or not familiar with him, they've really struggled. You would think in time, especially a guy that's been here 3 years, that we would see some progress, and we just haven't. It's definitely different on the road. I think when you go on the road, like they allow it, to be a little bit more loose. And so I think that's a fair statement. Trying not to be Purdue biased here with that, but obviously I am. It's one of the things when you talked about his frustrations that concerns me, because you go back and I'm always very direct and honest with them when we watch stuff. So they come off the court and say, hey, what's going on out there? Hey, man, they're just grabbing me. They're holding me. Then you go back and watch film and they're not grabbing you and holding you. What are you talking about? And then sometimes guys will walk off and they'll say the same thing, and you go back and watch, and they are grabbing and holding them. So I'm yet to meet a player that didn't lie about calls when they come off the court. Because when you got to understand, I watch the game, and half the game is in front of me, and half the game is 30 to 40 feet away from me. So, there's two things that you can watch in basketball. You can watch off the ball or on the ball, but you can't see both, all right? On TV, you can see it better. I'm sitting up in Mackey Arena is actually a better view than standing right on top of it when you're even with them. And so his frustrations is what bothers me, because I want him to be able to keep his cool and keep playing in the game. He's done a remarkable job. He's really, really worked towards it, and he's been very productive, obviously. He's worked on his free throws, but just kind of keeping his cool, especially yesterday. In the second half, with a lot of things that happened in that game, that's tough for him. But I don't want it to get camouflaged. That's why we lost the game. That's not why we lost the game. Coach Katie used to always talk about it. You got to be 10 points better on the road. And that was one of those games. You had to be 10 points better on the road, and we weren't. We turned the ball over. Northwestern played in transition. Give Northwestern credit. They made those plays. We didn't make those plays. We didn't keep our composure, and we turned the basketball over, and that's what we got to work on. They got to work on calling the game how it's supposed to be called, and they're not doing that in terms of Zach Edey. All right? Other people might get a call wrong here and there against them, but there's no pattern of behavior anywhere else with the officiating in the Big Ten on our team. They've done a really good job, but they haven't done a good job with Zach Edey. And that's where they got to be able – see, when you go back, it's like somebody calling me about the press and talking about the press. You think I watch tape on the press in 30 years of coaching? You think I go to clinics? You think I talk about – you got to work on it as a coach. You got to be able to say, you know what? We struggle at this. We got to do a better job as a coaching staff and help our players. Well, there's no different as a player. There's no different as a ref. A ref's got to go back and watch himself and be honest with himself and say, golly, I'm out of position here. I missed this here. Then I got to watch and keep watching so the next time you go to a game, you don't miss that. And you keep just working and working and working till hopefully, you get it right. I think any ref would try to say that their goal is probably to pitch a perfect game and not miss one. I don't know if that's accurate because it's such a hard thing to do, but That's what a really, really good ref is doing, is he's going and he's looking at those things and he's being honest. But the really good ones are doing their work before a game, especially when they're coming into another league they're not familiar with. It just didn't seem like those guys were as familiar about what's going on, especially with Zach.
Tim, thank you. We'll come back more with Coach Painter in a moment. It's presented by GEMCO, and this is the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
He was a little reluctant to challenge Nicholson on that dunk.
There's Ethan Morton inside to Edey. Northwestern doubles, down low to first, and he answers with a dunk of his own as the double was a little late to come there, Steven.
Yeah, that was boo-boo. He's supposed to seal off that backside. Caleb First continuing his inspired play.
And now a steal by Morton, an outstanding defender. Shovels it to First through the lane, up and in. Oilers just one of their last 6 from the field. Nice ball movement. Gillis out of the corner and he hits. Mason Gillis.
I think Nicholson could use a breather here. He's getting a little tired.
Gillis for 3. Trying to get hot from the outside.
Purdue, a premier rebounding ball club. Northwestern battling them.
Ooh, he's swatted away again by Edey. Here comes the lawyer now.
Dave, let's take a look at that last block. Bowie getting downhill. And there's just no way he's going to get that off. Purdue, a different look.
Edey with the jam, and he's fouled.
Edey in the center of the floor just pivots, goes strong with the growl, and then the stare. Zach Edey dominating the paint. As the ball goes inside to Edey, watch Gillis on the backside.
Shot clock at 6. Here's Morton on the spin, hanging in the air. Ethan Morton hits. Where has that been? Here's Barnheiser on the move, in on Edey. There's block number 3. And here's Smith.
Zach Edey is 7'4". That's not going to work.
Painter Show presented by GEMCO, live tonight at Walk-Ons. All right, Coach Painter, up next Thursday night, 6:30 at Maryland. Purdue beating Maryland 58-55 at Mackey back on January the 22nd. What do you remember from that game? And more importantly, how do you apply it to this game coming up Thursday?
Yeah, obviously we had a good first half and did a good job defensively, especially on Jameer Young. I thought Ethan did a really good job on him. We had a very bad start to the second half, had some poor decisions, shot selection there. They got back into the game. They got going. We bogged down. We missed some shots. Able to hang on, obviously, to get the win. But we're going to have to do a better job of executing. I thought in the first half we did some really good things executing, kind of got the ball where we wanted to get it in some certain sets. But then in the second half, when we did have some success there, we weren't able to knock down shots. But we had turnovers once again. They got in transition a little bit. They got their press going a little bit. And that's what we're going to have to be able to do. We're going to be able to handle their pressure. And we're going to have to execute on the offensive end and get quality shots each time.
It's Purdue at Maryland Thursday night at 6:30. Our final segment of the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO. When we come back, this is the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
George has always been a big dreamer.
He was talking about how he wanted to be the best NFL player when he hadn't even played a whole year of football.
Let's do it. Go Boilers.
On the face of my city, co-signed by Diddy.
Prove him wrong.
Prove them wrong. That's big to me. People don't believe you. All right, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Keep again. Karlaftis is there. George Karlaftis, the freshman. The crown jewel of this Purdue recruiting class.
What a play by George. Karlaftis. He just kept the relentless pressure. Yeah. He didn't slow down at all.
It's loose. Karlaftis has it. He's at midfield. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's at the 10. 5. Touchdown, Boilermakers. George Karlaftis on the fumble return.
NFL draft. The Kansas City Chiefs select George Karlaftis.
Wow.
defensive end, Purdue.
I'm proud of that kid. It's hard to make it through as a rookie, period. 17 games, but get better every week at that position, is something. I mean, it's as much mental as it is physical, and he is relentless. You see him at practice; he goes 100 miles an hour at practice. He transfers that into games, so my hat goes off to him.
Burrow facing the heat again. Karlaftis, the rookie.
Pieces just fit. They recruit to their system, their identity, their culture. These guys are willing to wait, learn the system, and earn their opportunity.
No look pass. First has it, and a foul.
Another great find from Braden Smith.
Those two dudes don't play like freshmen.
Number one is looking like number one.
The Matt Painter Radio Show, live from Walk-Ons. Again, a huge thank you to Alex Joyce of Rejoice Financial and his special guests that went out of their way to join us here on this Monday night at Walk-Ons. Thanks to everyone who are part of our live in-studio audience tonight. Let's finish this one here with a nugget. I call this one the silver lining nugget. Purdue fans, the sky is not falling, and here is why. The last time a Purdue team was ranked and lost at Northwestern was January of 2010. Purdue was ranked in the number 6, went to Northwestern, lost. The students also stormed the court back on that day, back on January 2010. Well, we know what happened yesterday. Purdue was ranked, lost at Northwestern. First time it happened since 2010. Students stormed the court. Do you know what happened in January of 2010 after Purdue lost that game? The Boilermakers ripped off 10 straight wins. They won 10 straight and went on to the Big Ten regular season championship. Purdue winning the Big Ten championship that year, Purdue's first Big Ten title in 14 years. That's how Purdue followed up that loss at Northwestern. And so you don't have to do the math. I'm going to do it for you. If indeed history repeats itself and Purdue wins 10 straight after that loss yesterday at Northwestern, Purdue would be the Big Ten regular season champ. Purdue would be the Big Ten tournament champion, and we'd be in the Sweet 16. Now, that wouldn't be all bad if that's what we have to do following that loss yesterday at Northwestern. So if history repeats itself, and we certainly hope it will, maybe this won't turn out to be all bad for our Boilermakers. Big thank you to Ethan Sargent, our in-studio engineer tonight. Thanks to Wes Scott, who was our on-site audio engineer. Next broadcast comes your way Thursday night from College Park, Maryland. 6:30 for the tip-off, 5:30 for the pregame show. Purdue and the Maryland Terrapins. We hope you will join us then. For now, have a great Monday, everyone. We'll see you back here at Walk-Ons next Monday night. Boiler up, hammer down. Have a great week.